Carl Jung once said something that should terrify every person watching this video. He discovered a psychological pattern so dangerous, so subtle, that 90% of people fall into it without ever realizing they're trapped. This isn't about depression or anxiety. This is about something far more insidious, a mental prison that disguises itself as normal life. A trap that keeps you cycling through the same patterns, the same relationships, the same failures, over and over again. Jung called it the greatest threat to human potential. And here's the scary part. You might already be inside it right now. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what this trap looks like, how it forms in your mind without you noticing, the hidden signs that reveal you've already fallen into it, and most importantly, the only way to break free before it destroys everything you care about. Because once you see this pattern, you can never unsee it. And that's exactly what will save you. Let's begin. Jung spent decades studying the human psyche. He worked with thousands of patients, and he noticed something disturbing. Most people, he realized, never actually live their own lives. Instead, they live what he called the provisional life. A life where you're always preparing to live, always waiting for the right moment, always believing that real life starts tomorrow. But here's where it gets dark. Jung discovered that this isn't just procrastination. It's a sophisticated defense mechanism. Your mind creates this pattern to protect you from something even scarier than failure. The fear of discovering who you really are. Think about it. When you're always preparing, always planning, always waiting, you never have to face the terrifying question, what if I try my best and it's still not enough? Jung called this the provisional attitude, and it's brilliant in its cruelty. It gives you the illusion of progress while keeping you safely trapped in mediocrity. You convince yourself you're not ready yet. You need more skills, more confidence, more time, more money, more support. But Jung saw through this lie. He realized that not ready is just code for afraid to find out what I'm really made of. The provisional life becomes your comfort zone, a place where potential feels better than reality, where dreams feel safer than action. And the most terrifying part, you can spend your entire life in this pattern. Decades can pass. You can achieve things, have relationships, build a career, all while never actually showing up as yourself. Jung warned us, the provisional life isn't preparation for living. It's preparation for dying with regret. The trap doesn't appear overnight. It builds slowly, through tiny daily choices that seem completely harmless. It starts with perfectionism. You tell yourself you need to research more before starting that project. You need to lose 10 more pounds before dating. You need to save more money before traveling. These seem like responsible decisions, but Jung understood they're actually avoidance strategies. Then comes the comparison trap. You scroll through social media and see others living the life you want. Instead of inspiring you, it paralyzes you. You think, I could never do that. I'm not like them. This is your mind gathering evidence for why you should stay provisional. Next, you develop what Jung called analysis paralysis. You overthink every decision. You create endless pros and cons lists. You seek advice from everyone except the person who matters most, yourself. Why? Because deep down, you know what you want to do, but you're terrified of taking responsibility. For that choice, the trap deepens through someday thinking. Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll have that difficult conversation. But Jung realized that someday is a place that doesn't exist. It's a psychological construction designed to keep you safe from risk. The final piece is rationalization. Your mind becomes incredibly creative at explaining why waiting is the smart choice. You're being prudent, strategic, realistic, but Jung saw the truth. These aren't reasons. They're elaborate stories your psyche tells to justify staying stuck. And before you know it, what started as caution becomes a lifestyle. Preparation becomes permanent. And provisional becomes prison. The scariest part. It feels completely normal. From the inside. How do you know if you've fallen into Jung's trap? The signs are subtle, but once you know what to look for, they're everywhere. First sign, you're always almost ready. Almost ready to launch that project. Almost ready to apply for that job. Almost ready to have that conversation. Almost becomes your favorite word. Second sign, you're obsessed with credentials. You collect courses, certificates, and qualifications like trophies. Not because you need them, but because they give you permission to delay action. Jung noticed this pattern repeatedly. People who knew more about their field than most professionals, but never actually entered the field. Third sign, you live in constant preparation mode. Your life feels like a permanent rehearsal for a show that never opens. You're always getting ready to get ready. Fourth sign, you experience what Jung called energy leak. You're exhausted from thinking about what you should do, but you never actually do it. Mental energy drains into fantasy instead of reality. Fifth sign, you have elaborate future plans but no present action. You can describe in detail what your life will look like in 5 years. But you can't tell me what you're doing today to get there. Sixth sign, you seek endless validation. You ask everyone's opinion about your decisions because you're hoping someone will either give you permission to act or permission to give up. Seventh sign, you experience relief when obstacles appear. When something blocks your path, part of you feels secretly grateful. It gives you more time to prepare. The most dangerous sign, you've become comfortable with longing. The ache of unfulfilled potential feels familiar. Safe, even. Jung warned, when longing becomes more comfortable than living, you're trapped. The provisional life doesn't just delay your dreams. It systematically destroys everything that makes life meaningful. In relationships, you become what Jung called emotionally provisional. You never fully commit because you're waiting for the perfect person, the perfect timing, the perfect feeling. You date people while secretly believing someone better is coming. You hold back your real thoughts and feelings because you're not sure this is the one. You live in relationships like you're house sitting instead of actually living there. The result? Superficial connections that leave you feeling lonelier than being alone. In your career, provisional thinking creates what Jung identified as professional purgatory. You stay in jobs that drain your soul because you're preparing for something better. But here's the trap. The skills you need for your dream career can only be developed by actually attempting your dream career. No amount of preparation substitutes for real experience. Years pass. Your resume grows, but your passion dies. In your spiritual life, you become what Jung called eternally seeking. You read every book, attend every workshop, follow every guru, But you never actually practice what you learn because you're not ready yet. You mistake information, consumption for spiritual growth. You become spiritually obese, full of knowledge but starving for genuine experience. The most devastating consequence affects your identity. Jung observed that provisional people never develop a real sense of self, because self-discovery only happens through action, through making real choices with real consequences. Instead, you become a collection of potentials, a person made of what if instead of what is. The tragedy? Time doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Life happens whether you're participating or not. Jung discovered that escaping the provisional trap requires a fundamental shift in how you think about readiness. The key insight? You don't get ready, then act. You act, then become ready. First, you must accept what Jung called the paradox of preparation. The only way to become ready for anything is to do it before you're ready. Readiness is a byproduct of action, not a prerequisite. Start with what Jung called micro-commitments. Choose one small thing you've been postponing and do it today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. The size doesn't matter. The timing does. Second, embrace what Jung termed intelligent imperfection. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Start with a good enough plan and improve it through experience. Jung noticed that people who broke free from provisional thinking shared one trait: they were willing to be beginners. They could tolerate looking foolish while learning. Third, develop what Jung called decision immunity. Stop seeking permission from others. Stop collecting opinions. Stop researching endlessly. Set a decision deadline. When the deadline arrives, choose based on the information you have, not the information you wish you had. Fourth, practice present moment commitment. Instead of living for someday, commit fully to today. Make today matter more than tomorrow. Jung's final insight was profound. The provisional life isn't really about fear of failure. It's about fear of success, because success means responsibility. It means you can no longer blame circumstances for your life. The exit from Jung's trap is simple but not easy. Stop preparing to live and start living. Your provisional life ends the moment you make your first real choice. Carl Jung spent his life studying human psychology, and this was his most urgent warning. Most people never actually live their own lives. They spend decades in preparation mode, always getting ready to get ready, always almost ready to begin. But here's what Jung understood that most people don't. Life doesn't care if you feel ready. Opportunities don't wait for your confidence to arrive. Dreams don't pause for your fears to subside. The provisional life feels safe, but it's the most dangerous trap you can fall into. Because while you're preparing to live, life is passing you by. The good news? You can break free right now. Today. This moment. Stop waiting for permission. Stop seeking the perfect plan. Stop preparing to prepare. Choose one thing you've been postponing and take action today. If this video opened your eyes to Jung's warning, hit that like button to help others escape the trap. Subscribe for more insights that could change your life. And comment below with one action you're taking today to break free from provisional living. Remember, your real life is waiting, but it won't wait forever.